I gaze up at the crisp autumn sky, a canvas of brilliant blue stretching endlessly above our Chicago suburban home. My hands move methodically through the laundry basket, smoothing each wrinkle from Nathan's dress shirts before hanging them precisely on the line. Hearing my husband Nathan call out to me, I turn around, my hands fidgeting nervously with the clothespin I'm holding. He extends his hand, offering me a small box wrapped in delicate pink paper with a red satin ribbon. "Thank you for everything, Ellie. For our 30th wedding anniversary, I got you this." The small box fits perfectly in my palm, its weight somehow significant despite its size, wrapped in pale pink paper with a silky red ribbon tied around it. As I take the gift, my heart suddenly races with joy, warmth spreading through my chest, and I can't help but smile. "Thank you. I'm so happy." Excitedly, I begin to untie the ribbon, my fingers trembling slightly, but the moment I open the box, my mind goes utterly blank. I couldn't believe what was inside: a beautiful silk scarf with an embroidered O monogram and a small package of gourmet macarons filled with nuts. Without thinking, I drop the box and rush out the front door, my garden sandals slapping against the pavement. "Wait, Ellie. Where are you going?" Ignoring Nathan's calls to stop, I kept running, my lungs burning with each breath. I couldn't understand his thoughtless actions. He knows about my severe nut allergy, and I felt utterly betrayed. The joy and warmth I had felt moments earlier vanished completely, replaced by a crushing weight that made my chest ache. I even began to wish I could get back those 30 years of marriage that suddenly felt meaningless. As I ran aimlessly through our neighborhood, I spotted a small park and collapsed onto a bench to catch my breath. A cool autumn breeze swirled around me, making the fallen leaves in the park twirl and dance across the pathway. Once my breathing slowed and I calmed down a bit, I stared at the box still clutched in my trembling hands. Then, raising my arm high, I aimed at the nearby trash can. This thing. I wanted to throw away this thoughtless, dangerous gift that represented everything wrong in our marriage. My name is Eleanor Winters, though everyone calls me Ellie. I'm 53 years old. I live with my husband Nathan and our son Tyler in our Chicago suburban home. Tyler is finishing college and currently interviewing with several companies. This morning, he dashed out with just a piece of toast clutched in his hand. "I'll be late for my interview. Professor Mitchell will kill me." This scene repeats almost daily. His snooze button habit hasn't improved since high school. As I watched him rush out, Nathan muttered, "I wonder if he'll survive in the corporate world." "If you managed it, he'll be just fine," I muttered. Nathan works as a creative director at a prestigious advertising agency. When we first married, he was the one running late every morning. Did I really? You must be thinking of someone else. I laughed softly and nudged his arm. You should get going. Creative directors should set a good example. Nathan pocketed his smartphone and hurried toward the door. As it clicked shut, I returned to washing our breakfast dishes. Something felt different about him lately, though he seemed oblivious. His attachment to his phone had become almost obsessive. He carried it everywhere: bathroom, shower, constantly checking it. Work emails would be understandable, but he often angled the screen away from me. "Stop hovering over my shoulder," he snapped yesterday, giving me an irritated glare. His reaction seemed extreme, making me increasingly uneasy. After finishing the dishes, I prepared for work as well. I've been a patient support coordinator at Mercy Hospital since Tyler's high school years. The hospital is just a 5-minute bike ride away, perfect for all seasons. During the pandemic, our department faced unprecedented challenges. Among our original team, only Vivian, my closest colleague, remains. She's been my best friend since college, a constant in my life. Today, I need to talk to her about what's happening at home. As I packed my lunch, I took a deep breath in the empty kitchen. During lunch, Vivian and I found a quiet corner in the hospital cafe. Our shared history made conversation easy as she listened with narrowed eyes. "That's absolutely suspicious. And it's been going on for months." She took a bite of her sandwich. "What else?" "Working weekends? Emotionally absent." I pushed my salad around, gathering my thoughts. I'm not particularly talkative, but I share little daily things, farmers market finds or neighbor stories. Nathan used to engage completely. Now I just get dismissive grunts before he disappears into his office for hours. Recently, late nights have become his norm with texts saying, "Don't wait up for dinner." Vivian said, "Seriously?" But Nathan always praised your cooking like it was gourmet. Exactly. His proposal included that line about wanting my home cooking forever. Then, she said, "I remember when he said your herb chicken was better than any restaurant in Chicago." Cooking has always been my passion. I even took classes before our wedding. Last month came the breaking point that still haunts me. After working late, Nathan came home looking completely drained. "Welcome home." "Rough day." I greeted, but his expression remained dark. "Yeah, well. I'd prepared herb-crusted salmon, roasted vegetables, salad, and fresh rolls. Since it was past 9, Tyler and I had already eaten. Dad, try this salmon. Mom outdid herself tonight." Tyler said enthusiastically. Nathan barely glanced at his plate. "Everything's fresh from the farmer's market," I said hopefully. He sighed heavily and reluctantly sat down. It felt like forever since we'd all been in the same room together. Nathan took one bite, then pushed his plate away in disgust. "This tastes terrible. I'm not eating it." "Nathan. What's wrong?" He left his meal untouched and stormed to his office, slamming the door. Since then, he's barely eaten anything I've prepared. After sharing everything, Vivian frowned deeply over her green smoothie. "Something is seriously wrong here, Ellie." Unburdening myself lifted a weight I hadn't realized was crushing me. "Call me immediately if anything else happens. Day or night." Her unwavering support meant everything to me in that moment. "What would I do without you, Vivian?" A few weeks passed after that heart-to-heart with Vivian. Nathan's attitude remained frosty, his words clipped and minimal. Checking my planner, I noticed our 30th wedding anniversary was approaching in just 2 days. Every year, I create an elaborate meal with all his favorites, but this time my enthusiasm was dampened by anxiety. What if he refuses to eat this time too? What if he pushes the plate away with that look of disgust? Or maybe he'll conveniently text that he's grabbing dinner with clients instead. These worries haunted me as I marked the date with a small heart on our kitchen calendar. Both Nathan and I had taken the day off work, and Tyler was away at his university classes. Even with just the two of us at home, Nathan remained completely absorbed in his smartphone. His eyes would narrow at the screen periodically, his fingers tapping rapid responses to unknown messages. I watched him from the corner of my eye while carrying laundry baskets to the backyard line. The autumn sunshine felt warm against my skin, perfect weather for drying clothes. As I gazed up at the high autumn sky, I methodically smoothed each garment before hanging it carefully. It struck me how this simple routine had remained unchanged through 3 decades of marriage. Checking the weather app had become part of my morning ritual, as reliable as my first cup of coffee. The forecast showed rain moving in by evening. I should hurry with the bedding. As I calculated the time needed to finish before the clouds rolled in, Nathan's voice startled me. "Ellie." Hearing him speak my name, I turned around, my hands fidgeting nervously with a pillowcase. Nathan handed me a small box, his expression unreadable. "Thank you for everything. For our 30th wedding anniversary, I got you this." The small box was wrapped in delicate pink paper with a red satin ribbon tied around it. As I took the gift, its weight feeling significant in my palm, my heart suddenly swelled with unexpected joy. I couldn't help the smile that spread across my face, hope flickering to life inside me. "For me? You actually remembered our anniversary." Of course I remembered. "Work's been crazy, but I'm not completely thoughtless," he said with a hint of his old smile. "Thank you. This makes me so happy." "Open it." I picked it out specially for you." My mind raced with possibilities as I held the small package. Excitedly, my fingers worked at the ribbon, careful not to tear the beautiful wrapping. As I removed the pink paper, a white gift box appeared, and I lifted the lid with anticipation. What? In that moment, my mind went completely blank, blood draining from my face. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This couldn't be real. Before I could process my thoughts, I found myself running from our yard, garden sandals slapping against the pavement. "Wait, Ellie. Where are you going?" Ignoring Nathan's confused calls, I kept running, my chest tight with betrayal. "Why?" How could this happen to us after 30 years? These thoughts pounded in rhythm with my footsteps as I fled through our neighborhood. Inside the box lay a beautiful silk scarf with the monogram, "Oh," elegantly embroidered in the corner. Beside it sat an assortment of gourmet macarons packed with walnuts and almonds. The monogram clearly wasn't mine, not even close. And the macarons contained nuts, the very thing that could send me into anaphylactic shock. My severe nut allergy isn't some minor detail, it's life-threatening, and Nathan has known this for decades. He was there in the emergency room when I was accidentally exposed at a restaurant years ago. How could he possibly give me something that could literally kill me? The confusion felt like a physical weight crushing my chest as I tried to make sense of it. He remembered our anniversary but forgot my life-threatening allergy? What kind of husband does that? The momentary joy I'd felt evaporated instantly, replaced by a sickening realization that made me dizzy. This wasn't an isolated incident but the culmination of months of strange behavior. Every cold remark, every missed dinner, every hidden screen suddenly connected like evidence in a case. I couldn't bear the weight of these realizations, my feet carrying me away without conscious thought. Nathan made no attempt to follow me, which only deepened the ache in my chest. The trust I'd built over 3 decades was cracking beneath me like thin ice. When I finally looked up from my thoughts, I found myself at the small neighborhood park. I collapsed onto a bench, my lungs burning and heart hammering against my ribs. Several deep breaths helped steady my racing pulse as I tried to process what had happened. A cool autumn breeze rustled through the trees, sending crimson and golden leaves dancing around my feet. As my composure slowly returned, I stared at the gift box still clutched in my trembling hand. Maybe this was somehow a mistake? A mix-up at the store? I considered opening it again but couldn't bring myself to look at the evidence of his thoughtlessness. This thing. I raised my arm, ready to hurl the box toward a nearby trash can, but something stopped me. Nathan's face flashed in my mind, not today's Nathan, but the man I'd fallen in love with years ago. Slowly, I lowered my arm and placed the white box beside me on the bench. I suddenly remembered my phone tucked in my skirt pocket. With shaking fingers, I pulled it out and unlocked the screen, desperate for connection. Vivian's face appeared in my mind, her steady presence exactly what I needed. I called her immediately, relief washing over me when she answered on the second ring. "Hello? Vivian, it's me. I really need to talk to you right now." My voice trembled as I recounted what had just happened, words tumbling out in a disjointed narrative. My story probably made little sense, but Vivian listened patiently, making small sounds of acknowledgement. "That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare he treat my Ellie this way?" Vivian's protective anger came through clearly, her outrage matching what I couldn't yet express. "Don't worry, I'm here for you. And after this, you don't need to suffer in silence anymore." "What do you mean?" I asked her. Before I could clarify her meaning, Vivian continued with determination in her voice. "You need to hire a private investigator to find out if he's having an affair." "A private investigator? Isn't that extreme? You're being too forgiving." "A monogram with someone else's initial and deadly allergens? Those aren't mistakes. They're evidence." Her certainty was infectious. She continued, "My former classmate Dominic Reeves is a PI specializing in uncovering infidelity and dishonesty. The idea of a real private investigator entering my life seemed surreal, like something from a movie. My head spun with the implications as I tried to grasp this new reality. What exactly would he do if I hired him? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "He'll discover whether Nathan is cheating, and likely identify exactly who this OA person is," Vivian explained matter-of-factly. "Another woman." The words felt foreign on my tongue, my stomach knotting painfully. Could there really be someone else after 30 years of marriage? The possibility hovered like a ghost, both unreal and terrifyingly plausible. "Ellie, hiring Dominic is your choice, but I wouldn't spend another day wondering and doubting yourself," she added gently. After our call ended, Vivian texted Dominic's contact information and his agency details. After hours of internal debate, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold, I made the call. I needed answers to the questions that were slowly destroying my peace. Later that afternoon, once the shock had subsided, I returned home to find Nathan watching me with a puzzled expression. "Welcome back. Where did you run off to? I deflected with a casual response, careful to maintain normalcy so he wouldn't suspect anything about the private investigator. I still had some errands to finish before the rain comes. Nathan tilted his head slightly but didn't press the issue, his concern noticeably absent. No questions like, "Are you feeling all right?" or "Did something upset you?" crossed his lips, none of the attentiveness I once took for granted. "You looked like you'd seen a ghost or something," he remarked offhandedly, already turning back to his phone. Maintaining my composure was excruciating, knowing I'd hired someone to investigate my husband's potential betrayal. 3 days later, Dominic called to arrange a meeting at a quiet cafe downtown to discuss his findings. When I arrived, he acknowledged me with a professional nod, his expression revealing nothing. I'd asked Vivian to join me, needing her strength to face whatever truths awaited. "Hello, I'm Dominic Reeves. I've prepared a comprehensive report on Nathan Winters for you." Without preamble, he laid several manila folders on the table between us. "I'll be direct, your husband is having an affair." His hands folded together as he delivered the news, his face remaining professionally composed. I felt my body go numb, unable to form words as I stared at him. "We've identified the other party. This woman, Olivia Parker, is a junior art director at your husband's agency." He placed some pictures on the table. There were images of Olivia meeting Nathan in his car, entering upscale restaurants together, laughing intimately. The most devastating showed them exiting a boutique hotel, Nathan's arm possessively around her waist. As the evidence accumulated before me, pain seared through my chest with such intensity one could barely breathe. The cafe sounds faded to a distant hum as blood rushed in my ears. Vivian sat beside me, squeezing my hand and speaking words I couldn't process. With trembling fingers, Vivian reached for one particular photograph. It showed Nathan and Olivia entering an exclusive patisserie, her head resting against his shoulder. The storefront matched the elegant logo on the box of macarons Nathan had given me. Multiple photos at this location suggested it was a regular destination for them. "Ellie, honey. You are pale." Vivian leaned closer, her eyes filled with concern. What expression was I wearing in that moment? Even Dominic looked uncomfortable, his professional demeanor briefly slipping. "Do you need some water? You don't look well." Reality crashed over me like an icy wave, draining all color from my world. "I'm fine. Just. I have a question," I managed, fighting to keep my voice steady. "These photos at the patisserie, is this a regular place for them?" Dominic nodded, "Yes, according to my surveillance, Olivia Parker particularly enjoys their signature macarons. Nathan had specifically visited this place to purchase treats for her, not for me." Is this what complete devastation feels like? This hollow emptiness? Staring at the photograph, I suddenly connected everything about the monogrammed scarf. The elegant O was for Olivia, not Eleanor. The anniversary gift in its pale pink box had never been intended for me at all. It was meant for her all along, I whispered, causing both Vivian and Dominic to exchange concerned glances. After reviewing the remaining evidence, we left the cafe together. Dominic gave a courteous nod before heading in the opposite direction from Vivian and me. Walking numbly beside my friend, I mentally reviewed the past 3 decades. Meeting Nathan in college, our early dates, his romantic proposal, Tyler's birth, each memory once shimmered with joy. Now these treasured moments felt tarnished and hollow, leaving an aching void in my chest. I want those 30 years back. The weight of wasted time and misplaced trust threatened to crush me completely. Just as tears began welling in my eyes, a familiar voice cut through my thoughts. "Mom." I looked up to see Tyler standing before us, concern etched across his face. "I just finished my economics seminar." "What's wrong? You look upset." The busy sidewalk traffic continued around us as I stood frozen, staring at my son. Should I tell him everything? Destroy his image of his father? As I hesitated, clutching my purse with the damning photos inside, Vivian smoothly intervened. "Since we've all bumped into each other, why don't we grab some lunch? I'm starving." Though Tyler had never met Vivian before, he seemed to sense the underlying tension and nodded immediately. "Sure, let's grab something to eat." We entered a nearby bistro, and after being seated, I slowly pulled the folder from my bag. "Tyler, there's something important I need to share with you." Carefully, I revealed everything I had just discovered about his father. Though clearly shocked, a look of recognition also crossed his features. I've noticed Dad acting weird lately, always on his phone, making excuses to leave. You picked up on that too? When I asked this, he nodded solemnly, maturity beyond his years in his expression. What will you do now, Mom? Are you thinking about? His voice trailed off as he stared at his hands, unable to complete the thought. The word divorce hung unspoken between us, heavy with implications. I honestly wasn't sure what path to take, torn between decades of history and this devastating betrayal. As I struggled to articulate my uncertainty, Tyler reached across the table for my hand. Whatever you decide, I support you completely, Mom. We're family first, he stated with remarkable composure. I'm in your corner, Ellie. No matter what you choose, that won't change, Vivian added firmly. Their unconditional support, whatever you decide, crystallized something within me. This was my life, my choice, and I suddenly felt empowered to reclaim it on my own terms. The day after our somber lunch, I returned to my post at the hospital's patient support desk. With autumn transitioning to winter, our waiting room filled with seasonal illnesses. By early afternoon, after the morning rush cleared, patient traffic noticeably slowed. The front doors slid open, revealing a slender woman in her early 30s. Something about her struck me as oddly familiar, though I couldn't place her. I glanced down briefly to organize intake forms for the next patient. When I looked up again, she stood directly before me, her posture tense but determined. Excuse me. Yes, how can I help you today? As I made eye contact, she carefully unfolded a silk scarf with trembling fingers. My breath caught in my throat, the world momentarily freezing around me. The scarf had a clearly monogrammed E in elegant script in the corner. With sudden clarity, I realized this was Olivia Parker standing before me. Though shocked, I maintained my professional demeanor, not revealing that I recognized her from Dominic's photos. Is this your first visit to Mercy Hospital? I'll need you to complete this intake form. She gently interrupted, I'm sorry, but, are you Eleanor Winters? Nathan's wife? They say the eyes are windows to the soul, and I'll never forget the emotion reflected in hers. Her gaze held a mixture of guilt, shame and genuine distress directed toward me. Yes, that's me, I admitted, my voice barely steady. Without warning, she burst into an emotional apology, her composure crumbling. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I couldn't hide my surprise, my professional mask slipping as I stared at her. Even the expensive silk scarf with its I monogram seemed to droop with shared embarrassment. I honestly thought. Just then, several colleagues appeared, drawn by our emotional exchange. Discussing such personal matters in our workplace was clearly inappropriate. I quickly regained my composure, touching her arm gently. Let's talk after my shift ends. Can you wait for me? The remaining hours crawled by as my mind raced with questions about Olivia and the monogrammed scarf. What had brought her to my hospital? Why this sudden apology? What had she been about to confess before we were interrupted? When my shift finally ended, I hurried outside, scanning the area anxiously. Olivia sat primly on a bench at the bus shelter across from the hospital entrance. Thank you for waiting. I'm Eleanor, Nathan's wife, I said as I approached. My voice startled her, causing her to jump slightly, her shoulders tensing. I apologize for my behavior earlier. My name is Olivia Parker. Her formal tone surprised me, this wasn't the homewrecker I'd imagined. Seeing my husband's mistress in person made everything painfully real, yet I felt only hollow sadness. Olivia, why did you come to my workplace today? I've been dating Nathan, she admitted, her eyes downcast with obvious discomfort. Recently, he gave me this gift. I was thrilled until I opened it. She removed the silk scarf with the E monogram from her handbag. It was meticulously folded, clearly treasured despite its mistaken identity. Nathan told me he was divorced years ago. Divorced? The word felt like a physical blow. Yes. He said he'd been single for quite some time. When exactly did I cease to exist in his life? The shock left me momentarily speechless, my mind struggling to process this revelation. Olivia explained that their relationship had begun about 4 months ago after collaborating on a project. As her creative director, she'd respected his talent and never questioned his claim of being divorced. She'd never seen a wedding ring on his finger, and he never mentioned having a family. When she received the monogram scarf clearly meant for someone else, everything unraveled. I started suspecting he might still be married. Then I remembered he once mentioned that his ex-wife worked at Mercy Hospital. His ex-wife, the casual dismissal of our marriage stabbed deeper than I expected. He gave me these nut-free macarons when he knows I love their almond ones. The box I received was filled with nut macarons, and I have a severe nut allergy. So both gifts were switched. The scarf and the macarons went to the wrong recipients? The evidence was undeniable, each gift clearly intended for the other woman. Olivia had no knowledge of my allergy, her shock appeared genuine. Her eyes widened with horror when I explained the severity of my condition. I had absolutely no idea. That's incredibly dangerous. Her reaction confirmed what I already sensed, she wasn't complicit in his deception. We had both trusted Nathan, both been manipulated by his carefully constructed lies. We were unwitting victims of the same man's selfishness. Olivia, I have a proposition for you, I said, a plan suddenly forming in my mind. 2 days after meeting with Olivia, I waited in our kitchen for Nathan to return home. My decision was already made, my resolve hardening with each passing minute. When I heard the front door open, I steeled myself for what was to come. I'm home. He trudged into the living room, not bothering to mask his exhaustion. Welcome home. We need to talk. Fine, but keep it brief. He dropped his designer briefcase and slumped onto the couch. I retrieved the anniversary gift box and opened it, displaying the monogram scarf and nut-filled macarons. Thanks for the anniversary gift. What's this monogram about? I pointed directly at the my gaze unwavering. Nathan hesitated momentarily before forcing an unconvincing smile. It's just a decorative pattern. A pattern that happens to look exactly like the letter O? It's an anniversary gift, Ellie. Don't overthink it. But this initial isn't mine or yours, I stated flatly, maintaining eye contact. Nathan chuckled nervously, it's not an initial. It's from a boutique designer brand called A Oval. His lie was pathetically transparent. I remained silent, letting his weak excuse hang in the air between us. Misinterpreting my silence, Nathan relaxed visibly. Are we done here? I'm exhausted. I noted his smug expression with mounting disgust. Actually, we have a visitor. At my signal, Olivia stepped into our living room. What the hell? Why is she? Nathan's face drained of color as he stared at Olivia in horror. She stood rigidly, clutching the monogrammed scarf in her hand. You two know each other? I'm just making introductions. Nathan, what's happening? Tell her we've been together, Olivia demanded. Nathan's mouth opened and closed wordlessly. I spread the evidence photos from Dominic's investigation across the coffee table. Images of Nathan and Olivia at restaurants, entering the patisserie arm in arm. The damning photo of them leaving the boutique hotel downtown. Nathan stared at each photo, his composure crumbling completely. What is this? How do you know Olivia? She's just a junior colleague. These photos are meaningless. Olivia's face registered shock and anger at his dismissal. These are nothing, just work meetings and professional dinners. His transparent lies were accompanied by his hand unconsciously covering his mouth. Just work? Really? I selected a particularly intimate photo of them laughing over champagne. You discuss advertising campaigns while gazing into each other's eyes? Nathan continued sweating profusely, words failing him. What's going on? Olivia stepped closer, her voice trembling with emotion. You promised me this was real. What is this, Nathan? Olivia, wait. She's not my wife. She's just a relative who lives here. A relative? Then whose home have you been returning to every night? Fury transformed her features as the truth dawned on her. Nathan stammered incoherently, trapped in his web of lies. You told me you were divorced. Explain yourself. Divorced? Well, I might have implied. He glanced between us, shrugging evasively. Perhaps I said something like that, or maybe not. His refusal to make eye contact with either of us revealed his cowardice. My patience finally shattered completely. If you wanted a divorce, you should have just asked for one. I thundered. Nathan's demeanor suddenly shifted, his tone becoming oddly clear. Ellie, I don't want a divorce. He launched into an absurd metaphor, asking us to listen carefully. People are like pastries in a bakery display case. There are classic staples and exciting seasonal specials. Olivia and I exchanged bewildered glances as he continued. The classics have enduring appeal. That's why they're always available. Confused by this bizarre analogy, I urged him to continue. Your point being? Sometimes you want to try something different, something new. He began listing pastry varieties with an unsettling smile. Olivia looked at me with shared confusion in her eyes. Can you skip the dessert menu and make your point? I sighed. Turning to me, Nathan said, what I mean is, besides having you at home, sometimes I want to casually enjoy someone different too. His words left us both speechless with their callous selfishness. He continued smiling, apparently pleased with his ridiculous explanation. I'm filing for divorce, I stated firmly. Divorce? Come on, you can't be serious. Do I look like I'm joking? Finally comprehending my resolve, he knelt dramatically. You can't mean it. I've trusted you for 30 years, Nathan. That was my mistake. Please, Ellie, reconsider. I'm begging you. It's too late, Nathan. I admit I was wrong. I'll never stray again. He clutched my hand desperately, tears welling in his eyes. His theatrical display of remorse came far too late. Moreover, he completely misunderstood my deepest hurt. You still don't get it, I said quietly, crossing my arms. Do you remember my severe nut allergy? What? He looked genuinely confused. I've told you countless times over 30 years. It's life-threatening. A nut allergy? That's just a food preference, right? Something broke inside me at his casual dismissal of my safety. You said I looked like I'd seen a bomb. I actually had, these could kill me. I grabbed the macarons, my hand shaking with fury. These aren't just cookies, they're potentially lethal to me. I hurled the scarf at his face in pure rage. Before I could throw the macarons, Olivia gently restrained my arm. Nathan stared in shock at the scarf drifting to the floor. Wait, you're both leaving me? Olivia, you'll stay, right? She glared at him with utter contempt. You disgust me. Stay away from me at work and everywhere else. As Nathan crumbled visibly, he noticed Tyler standing silently in the doorway. Our son had witnessed everything, his expression one of cold disappointment. Nathan could only hang his head in shame, defeated by his own selfishness. After that confrontation, my divorce proceeded swiftly without further discussion. Nathan signed the papers with a defeated expression, finally grasping the consequences of his actions. We sold our family home, which quickly attracted several potential buyers. Nathan packed his belongings and moved to a downtown apartment, avoiding Tyler and me. What a coward, running away instead of facing what he'd done. Good riddance, I muttered as he drove away for the last time. Olivia and I developed an unexpected friendship, occasionally meeting for lunch on pleasant afternoons. We'd share updates about our lives and inevitably discuss Nathan's downfall. When rumors of his affairs spread through his agency, his professional reputation crumbled. Olivia discovered he had previously had affairs with other colleagues, a pattern rather than an exception. Everyone's shocked, but apparently this isn't his first time crossing lines, she revealed. I felt physically ill realizing he'd been juggling relationships for years while presenting himself as a devoted husband. His behavior eventually cost him his position, resulting in a significant demotion. Actions have consequences, though I hope for his sake he's learned something. Olivia resigned from the agency, unwilling to share workspace with him. By coincidence, our patient support department had an opening when a coordinator left. Why not join our team? Regular hours, excellent benefits, supportive environment. Though initially hesitant about switching to healthcare administration, Olivia decided to try. She quickly discovered a natural talent for patient relations. Now we work together, her design eye helping modernize our patient materials. Tyler received 3 promising job offers after graduation, weighing his options carefully. He'll join the workforce officially next spring, already showing remarkable maturity. When I proudly shared this with Vivian in the break room, she grinned knowingly. Admit it, you're secretly sad your baby bird is leaving the nest. You worried about his job hunt every single day, she teased while Olivia laughed. Of course I worried. That's what mothers do, I protested, blushing. The empty house sometimes feels too quiet now, giving me time to reconsider my own passions. Newly single, I've been contemplating new beginnings for myself. Ellie, your cooking is incredible. Why not teach classes? Vivian suggested. Cooking classes? The idea immediately resonated. This dream had been simmering for years, put aside while raising Tyler. I think I will, I decided, feeling a long-dormant excitement awakening. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward toward a future built around my own dreams.